Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
Oh, I'm Amir, my bad.
and welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, we'll start with what media we're consuming. You can start, Amir.
Excellent, excellent. Recently I just started rewatching Kim Possible, amazing, amazing, excellent show, some semi-perfect children's entertainment. If you have children, put them on to Kim Possible. What else have I been consuming media-wise? We saw Black Widow, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna talk about that during the podcast. I finished Loki. Saw an episode of The Bad Batch. Been reading the first Birds of Prey series because I got into like a Black Canary obsessive mode again. Don't ask why. Uh, and so yeah, I've been rereading Birds of Prey, and it's really making me want a Birds of Prey video game or just a video game or animated series where Black Canary is either the main character or one of the main characters because we don't get enough Black Canary, and Black Canary is awesome. So DC, I want my Black Canary. Come on. What else have I been consuming media wise? TV shows. What TV shows have I been watching? Have I been watching any TV shows? I've been watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I know it's like really random, but I've been watching it on HBO Max, and it's so random. I don't know why. I just one day was like, I want to watch Fresh Prince, and so that's what I've been doing. I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything really new. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so for me, I also watched, Black Widow, Loki, and Bad Batch. I also watched season 2 of Beastars. They finally added that to Netflix. It was great. I was waiting for it. It's probably my favorite arc in the series because the manga finished like I don't remember how long ago. I think early 2020 it finished up. Maybe even 2019, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the manga had finished a while ago, and there'll probably be only one more season based on how long the manga went and how because each season has been 12 episodes so far. And they both covered the first season covered the first arc, the second season covered the second arc, and there's literally only one arc left. So maybe it might be more than 12 episodes, but next season will likely be the very last season. But I heard their contract with Studio Orange is up on them, like animating Beastars, but they'll probably just renew it and do a final season and maybe an additional mini like series because they're before the author Haru Itagaki made Beastars, it started as this kind of one shot called Beast Complex. Not one shot, it was like a mini series, and then it became Beastars. But she made I think like two more issues of Beast Complex, so maybe they could turn that into a couple, maybe like a 5-episode miniseries or something like that after the third season. Yeah, Beastars is great. A lot of people, even some people who are into anime, are afraid to watch it because they're afraid of being called a furry. And I'm like, bro, it's not that deep. It's an anime about like anthropomorphic animals, but you're not gonna be a furry just because you watched it. You're not gonna like it's not that deep. Nobody's calling people little kids furries because they watch Zootopia. Like, but yeah, jumping into animation. First things first, What If has a release date. It's come out on August 11th. Supposedly, I keep hearing this, but I don't know if there was ever any confirmation, but that each episode is supposed to be based off of one of the MCU movies. I don't know how far they're going to go up to because, since then, I feel like since they started working on it, maybe 2 movies have come out and several series. So maybe it'll go up to the last movie before Black Widow, which I think was Far From Home. So I don't know how many episodes that means it will be, maybe like 20 something, like 25 or something like that. I don't know if they'll include the series when it comes to that count, especially since they'll probably only go up to Far From Home. Also, season 2 is apparently in development for What If, so there are going to be multiple seasons apparently. You got anything to say about What If?
The animation is really beautiful, but one thing that I really like about the What If comic that I feel like the What If show is missing is like, at least originally. Now, granted, the What If comic is kind of I don't even know if it's still running, but I know like in its later years, it got a little bit like this in the show, where I would have just preferred that it be like this in the show entirely and just like the comic entirely. Was like something plausible, like sort of like Star Wars Infinity, where it's like one thing, one small thing is changed about an event, and that's like what happens, rather than like an entire just weird, like random, like the whole what if Peter Parker became Doctor Strange? That I don't know, like seems a little out of the blue to me. Of course, I'm still gonna watch it, but I mean, like that's just kind of
Like you mean like
was there ever
you like
what?
you would like to see more things like Peggy Carter becoming Captain America is something that's plausible. Like she was
Yeah,
there.
that's something that's plausible because like one of the first what if comics I ever read was what if Silver Surfer never turned good, and like that was like that's something that's plausible. It was a depressing comic because he killed like everybody, but it was very plausible. And so something like what if Peggy Carter became Captain America, that's very plausible. But then you have something like what if Peter Parker became the Sorcerer Supreme, and you're like, when was the possibility of that ever actually a thing?
For me, I think there's a in between something like the Spider-Man one and the Peggy Carter one. Like I think the T'Challa gets picked up by Yondu instead of Peter is in between that to where it's a little bit of a stretch because how would that happen? Like it's Wakanda.
Right.
How did they? I mean, they did say that he said that he was exploring the world, so maybe he left Wakanda's boundaries, and that's how he got picked up by Yondu. But also, why did Yondu go to pick him up instead of Peter, which he was supposed to be doing for Peter's father, Ego? So like
Right.
that is still a bit out there, but it's not anywhere near as far as how did Peter Parker somehow randomly become the Sorcerer Supreme?
Become the Sorcerer Supreme, right?
Like I like the
Just
stuff like
walking
that.
home from school one day and
Black
sees the
Panther.
cloak of levitation.
And there's another one that they showed in the most recent trailer where um, Tony Stark, like, he doesn't get hit by the shrapnel and Killmonger saves him. That one seems really interesting.
That one seems still plausible. Even though it's like where the hell did Killmonger come from? It's like Killmonger's still a soldier. Like you can still I could believe that. But like what if Tony never got hit by the shrapnel? Or even better, well, maybe not better, but
Or if
like
he continued to
just
sell
as
weapons,
interesting, what if he died when he got hit by the shrapnel instead
yeah.
of living?
Or like, what if he continued to sell weapons?
What if Jensen wasn't in the bunker? Yeah, no, those are much more interesting to me than just like randomly. What if Peter Parker became like saw the cloak of levitation walking home one day? Like that's a lot more interesting to me.
Yeah, I feel you. Um,
Yeah.
so Cartoon Network Studios announced a new animated shorts program called Cartoons. The mission is to innovate the art of animating, animated storytelling, and showcase diverse stories, discover new voices, and mentor the next generation of animators. So they did something like this before, and some popular shows came from it. I have a list here. Shows that were in the old version of cartoons that became big were Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, The Grim Adventures of Bill and Maddie, Codename Kid Next Door. All of these shows started as shorts and cartoons, and then became big Cartoon Network shows. So it's really exciting to see what today's generation, people our age and a little bit older and like millennials can come up with, because it'll be far more diverse than cartoons used to be. Speaking of which, just like 30 minutes or so ago, I was looking at this clip on Twitter from Craig's was it Craig of the Creek? Have you heard of that show on Cartoon Network? That
It sounds familiar, but I don't
yeah,
think I've ever like actually seen it.
yeah, it's a show with a bunch of black kids in it. And as I'm watching, I'm like, it's not the type of show I want to watch because it's a little too kiddie for me now, as I am today. But when I was younger, I would love to have had a show like this. And my little brother, who's like 8 or 9 right now, will probably love it. I don't know if he's seen it yet. He probably has, but he'll probably love the show. It's on Hulu. He might have seen it. But yeah, um, yeah, this is very interesting. I'm excited to see what type of cartoons come from it. One last thing in the animated portion, a new Disney movie called Encanto is coming out about it's set in Colombia. And it's like just like with cartoons and
I'm so excited for this.
Hmm?
I am really excited for this movie.
Yeah, for me it's just I like to see that they're going so far into representing different cultures. You're breaking up a bit.
I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi like actually cut off by itself yesterday and then rebooted itself. I don't know, maybe somebody's trying to hack my stuff. I don't really know. Um, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I just said that I'm really, really, really excited for Encanto. Like that looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I'm not necessarily excited for it, but it looks cool. I might check it out. Um, yeah, going into comics, there are a few things I want to talk about. I'm gonna start off with a manga that I read. Literally an hour ago before we started. Actually, like at 1 o'clock when I texted you and you immediately texted back, I was in the middle of reading it when my alarm went off to make sure that you were ready. But there's a one shot by Tatsuki Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man, called Look Back, and it's very different from Chainsaw Man. It was just a one shot. It was very long. Single issue was like 140 pages. I think this is why you think manga is so much longer than comics, but they're not, even though the last time you were like, yeah. And I was like, because I've read I've been keeping up with the most recent Wonder Girl, which I'll get to, and they tend to be Wonder Girl was longer than most of the manga I read. Like the most recent issue. The second issue, it was like, I think like 25 pages, something like that, where the average issue for a manga is like 19 pages. But yeah, Look Back was really good. It was essentially about the struggle of wanting to be an artist, and about like envy as well as changing motivations. And it was really, really cool. There's actually this person who said it better than I could. I'm just going to read what they said verbatim. They said that Fujimoto is a genius, captured beautifully the struggle of wanting to be an artist, the childhood envy, the change of motivation, the drive, the pain, and the beauty of chasing an impossible goal. Look Back is indeed to all artists to look back. It is so beautiful to read. It really was. It made me tear up a little bit. I was like, man, this is really good. It was very heartfelt. The Flash annual. Have you read or heard anything about the Flash annual?
I haven't read anything about the Flash since Infinite Frontier started, so
So you don't
that's
mind
gonna be a no for me.
mind if I talk about it?
Go ahead, because I'm probably not gonna read it.
Essentially, they retcon Heroes in Crisis. They retconned the other retcon of Heroes in Crisis, but they retconned it again. And this retcon is that the reason, essentially, Wally didn't really kill all those people, is that the Speed Force forced that explosion to happen to try and
I did see this.
Yeah,
I did see this.
to try and kill Savitar, and essentially relieving Wally of his guilt, which is that's fine with me because I wasn't a fan of Heroes in Crisis. A bunch of unnecessary deaths, and even though they brought back Arsenal, it's just like, bro.
Nobody was a fan of Heroes in Crisis. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I don't know a single fan.
What I dislike about this annual is that at the very end he got back into his old Flash costume, like the one where he first originally got that like V-shaped belt and the white eyes. Like I was like, why did you do this?
Yeah, no, his rebirth suit was literally perfect.
Yeah,
I don't know why they would ever change that.
Like the perfect combination of his Kid Flash suit and his Flash suit.
Like if I was a speedster, I would rock that. I don't know why they changed it back.
Yeah, they made him put on his old Flash suit, and I was just like, why did you do this? He already has the perfect suit, and he hasn't gone by Kid Flash in a long time. He literally, it's like Miles Morales and Peter Parker. They both go by Spider-Man. Both Barry and Wally go by Flash, the Flash. So like it wasn't like they didn't need him to change his costume to become the Flash. He was already the Flash. Yeah, Wonder Girl #2. Artemis and Cassie were in this issue, and they fought a little bit. They were both going after Yara Flor because apparently she's part of this prophecy that might destroy the Amazons or whatever. I think in the first issue or the Infinite Frontier comic, Nubia became the queen, and she's also getting her own series called Nubia and the Amazons, which is really cool. And as I read this, I keep going, man, I really want a Wonder Woman animated series. Because just like Black Widow, there's no excuse other than sexism that we haven't got a Wonder Woman animated series. You get what I mean, man? Like, she is the most popular woman superhero on the planet Earth.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I'm not the biggest Wonder Woman fan myself, although I do love Yara Flor. But I definitely get that personally. Like, there should have been one a very long time ago, and I don't understand why there hasn't been.
And they keep making animated series for Batman and Superman. And I feel like they just refuse to make anything about literally any other superhero. They will make Justice League series and it'll have other superheroes in it. Like sometimes they'll have, of course, all the other Justice League members, and sometimes they'll bring in Mr. Terrific and Plastic Man and Booster Gold and stuff like that. But it's like,
I need more Mr. Terrific. I need more Mr. Terrific.
So much more Mr. Terrific. I love Mr. Terrific. DC has so many great Black characters that they just refuse to use. Instead, they rather turn an existing character Black, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember me asking you this question, but I was like, build your ideal Justice League team, but you can't use any of the original 3, like Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman.
I would definitely have Mr. Terrific on mine. I feel like I didn't
pick Mr. Terrific was both.
Yeah, because last time you told me, I essentially made the Justice League animated series, Justice League, and I never gave you my version if I couldn't put any of the original members on it. But Wally would of course be on there.
Wally was my Flash, but Mr. Terrific was the co-leader alongside Black Canary, and he was also the one of the brains of the team and the funding of the team.
Yeah, Mr. Terrific's great. They need to use him so much more. He honestly could have his own like live action series.
He really could. He could have his own animated series. Like if they do like another DC animated TV show universe, which they really should. Like I don't know why they haven't. They really need to do one. Mr. Terrific should get his own show. Like that would be amazing.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like I wouldn't be upset if they all had different art styles. But then it would be like when they have crossovers, how do you like make the art, like you have to create an art style that they all universally use. So it would make more sense for them to have the exact same art style. But it would be interesting if there was an animated DC universe, but every series had a different art style.
That'd be awesome. And they all follow the same continuity. I would really like that actually.
Yeah, and then they would be cool because then when there are like mini crossovers, like just
bro, why don't we run DC? I don't understand.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but
we need to.
But yeah, because of Yara Flor and Artemis and Wonder Girl, and Donna Troy, and there's just so many very interesting characters within Wonder Woman's just ethos, and as well of all the Greek gods and stuff. She has an entire world to explore. I feel like even low-key, the comics don't even explore it enough. I'm not crazy in saying that, right? Low-key, I feel like the comics don't even explore it enough. But like,
hey, hold on, repeat that. Explore what?
I said low-key, the comics don't explore just the entire mythology of Wonder Woman enough. I just feel like we just don't get enough.
Again, I'm not a huge Wonder Woman fan, so I can't really say whether or not they do or not because I don't really read Wonder Woman comics like that. So
yeah, I just feel like we don't get enough Wonder Woman in her world. She could be so much more interesting. I feel like she could become something that you really like.
I mean, like, it's not that I don't like her. It's just that, like, there's 1,000,001 other DC characters that I find so much more interesting than Wonder Woman. And, like, I don't know. Again, I love Yara Flor. Yara Flor is, like, my favorite Amazonian character.
I'm definitely starting to really love Yara Flor up there with Wonder Woman. I just wanted to mention this one thing because, and this is a little bit on the same topic of like Bleach, why I like Bleach so much, but how I kind of like trashed it and almost made you not want to read it, and then I had to come back and be like, wait, watch it or read it. Actually, I
may actually read it. Honestly, I've been thinking about that. I may actually read it.
I've never watched all of it. I've read all of it though. I'm gonna watch the final season, but I've never watched all of the anime. I've read all of it though. But yeah. So there's this really good tweet I saw that kind of describes why I'm such a harsh critic of the things that I like so much. And this person said, Raymond McNeil. I actually didn't mention who was the person I was quoting in my other thing about Look Back. Their name is Jose B. I don't know how to pronounce their last name, but they're at Panda and Wolf on Twitter. But this person is at Raymond_McNeil. And they said, wait, this is the wrong quote. Oh, it says, they said, if I want, this is about Ruby. So this quote is about Ruby, but it sums up how why I'm such a harsh critic. They said, I want to clarify, I still love Ruby, but if I'm not harsh on it, it won't improve. Criticism should be scorching. You should not feel good receiving it. It is the feeling of shame, criticism, and what? I'm not sure what it is. It is the feeling of shame and criticism. There's supposed to be an and there, I think, but it's not. That creates creates, that propels action and growth. Um, I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm trying to shame people or that it should necessarily feel bad to receive criticism. I don't think it should go that far, but you should definitely feel like there's something that needs to be changed. And in that sense, I feel like sometimes that could feel bad. Like it could feel bad when you feel like you have to change something that you like, or that you feel like you put a lot of hard work into, but it just didn't stack up despite what you thought. That's pretty much why I'm such a harsh critic. I want things to change. So I talk about it in a way that, seems a bit harsh. Last but not least, in comics, Miles Morales was redesigned for his 10th year anniversary by Chase Connolly. I've been following him on Instagram for a long time. He did a really cool series of artwork based off of the 90s animated X-Men animated series that was really cool. And I'm gonna put an image of Miles Morales redesign up on screen, but me and you have differing opinions on it. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, okay, so I like it. I do like it. I feel like every time I criticize it, that it seems like I don't like it. No, I do like it. I just think that it's going to.
You sound like exactly how I sounded when I was talking about Bleach.
No, I do like the suit. It's going to be temporary, and I'm glad it's going to be temporary because it does not. It like much like Wally West's Rebirth Flash suit. Miles's Spider-Man suit was perfect, and if it weren't for the current Clone Saga thing going on, which if people don't know, basically the whole reason he's getting a redesign, at least we don't officially know, but my basic theory is because the Clone Saga is going on, the Miles's clones are set out and actually succeeding and ruining Miles's life, and both in and out of the suit. And so he needs a suit to differentiate that he's not them for at least a little while until things cool back down and he beats his clones. So that's my biggest theory about it. So I'm glad that, I think a suit change is needed, at least for right now, just to because otherwise he's gonna keep getting hate, and he almost lost his mom and Peter as his friend and all that sort of stuff. So I'm glad that he's getting the suit change temporarily, but it needs to be temporary because his suit is literally perfect for him, and this is quite the change from his actual suit. It's quite the departure. So I really need for this not to be permanent. I know it's not going to be permanent because nothing in comics is permanent, but I need this to be a shorter thing than longer.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel what you mean. I also think his OG suit is iconic. It's gonna be. They're definitely gonna go back to it eventually. But I do really like this costume, and you don't agree, but I think sneakers need to always be a part of his costume, even if it's subtle. His design in the video game, the shoes on his costume look like sneakers, but it's very subtle. I really like that. I really like him incorporating sneakers to his design. But yeah, I'll put it up on screen. It's the artist said that it's not supposed to be hot pink. It's just the lighting that they use to make it look that way. But honestly, I like the hot pink. But yeah, moving on to TV and film. We'll get to Loki and Black Widow in a minute. This episode will definitely be talking mostly about Loki and Black Widow. But first things first, I watched these people do a reaction to the movie on Netflix, Bright, with Will Smith, about essentially a fantasy, a medieval fantasy world existing in modern day with orcs and.
We'll never get over the fact that the producer, either the writer, producer, director, I don't remember which one, but they basically said they wanted this to be their Star Wars, and I was like, you failed tremendously.
And the thing is, it's such a cool premise, but they, like you said, failed tremendously. And I haven't watched it. I might watch it someday. I'm not really that interested in watching it. But essentially, from what I gathered from a couple of videos I watched, is that people love the idea. The execution was very flawed. They tried to use orcs as an allegory for racism, and it didn't. It just wasn't written well. The whole racism storyline wasn't written very well, so it felt half baked. It felt like they weren't really putting much effort into that side of the story. And I hate when people try to use. I don't think it's impossible to use fictional species to as an allegory for racism. I just think that you have to really put some time and thought into it if you really want to make it work. You can't just half-ass it. I think Zootopia does it pretty well. And it doesn't even just tackle racism, it tackles prejudice in general in Zootopia. And I don't want to get too far into Zootopia because we talk about Brett, but yeah, I think Zootopia does it way better. I also want to talk about how, because I'm going to keep this bright short, but they essentially, people hate on criticism a lot without actually listening to the criticism and trying to understand it. Like a lot of people in comments of IGN, people do this to IGN all the time, but IGN's videos and other people's videos are talking about how they're wrong, they loved it, their opinion is wrong, which makes no sense. It's an opinion for a reason. You can have a different one, but essentially people see a score or hear a few words and decide that reviewers are just hating rather than actually stopping and trying to digest it. And most people are saying Bright was interesting and it would have been much better as a TV show, which I agree with. I think Bright could work as a TV show if they actually had time to explore everything that was happening instead of shoving it into like a two-hour time frame. They just didn't have enough time to explore it. But yeah, that's all I have to say on Bright. I also want to say a little bit more about Lovecraft Country Season 2. The first season had 18 Emmy nominations. Did you know that?
I did actually. I follow Journey Smollett on Instagram, and she posted about it, and I was like, "Wow, they really canceled this! Wow!"
I, for the life of me, cannot call Journey. I can't say her last name as the way it's pronounced. I can only say Smollett because of the joke that Dave Chappelle made in one of his stand-ups on Netflix about her brother. And he called him Juicy Smollett. And ever since then, I always say Journey Smollett. I never pronounce her last name properly. Also, you talked about how you had that crush on that lady from that one video game that's coming out soon for Spoken, I think. I definitely have.
Blinsky, yes, sir.
I definitely have a huge crush on Journey Smollett.
Same. Don't worry, same. Don't worry. Same.
She's
absolutely 110%.
She's gorgeous. But yeah, the fact that it had 18 Emmy nominations goes to show even further that the only reason this show isn't getting a season 2 is because white people are uncomfortable. Because clearly people loved it. It got 18 Emmy nominations. So yeah, there's definitely a problem there, and I really want there to be a season 2. Hopefully this backlash will push them to actually make season 2. Titan season 3. When is it coming? In August? I didn't put the date down.
I don't remember, but I know that I talk a lot of smack about this show. I know that I text you a lot of smack about this show, and I fully believe all of it, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I wasn't at least a little excited, because I do have a tradition every time a new season of Titans comes out where I just watch it and trash it. I love it. It's
coming out on August 12th, and it's just like I feel the exact same, and I feel the same way about a lot of things. Like Ruby, for example, is not always the best written. And it's also, like you said, sometimes it's fun to talk trash about stuff. But also, as bad as something is, you can always find something about it to enjoy. Like Star Wars can be bad sometimes, but I'll always watch it. I'll always watch it. It's getting a lot better now, especially with the TV shows. But it's sometimes it's fun to make fun of stuff, and also there are always going to be some redeeming qualities. Okay, time to get into the meat. We're gonna start with Loki, then we're going to get into Black Widow, and then we're going to jump into a few video game news. So, Loki. Okay, spoiler alert for Loki, and that spoiler alert is going to continue into Black Widow. So, Kang. They didn't call him Kang, but it was basically Immortus. And
they actually avoided giving him an actual name, which I was very impressed with.
But the moment that elevator opened and I saw Jonathan Majors, I literally picked up because I was sitting on the couch and I picked up the pillow and threw it across the room. And I yelled and I was like, oh my God, they're doing it. This opens up so many doors. I texted this to you, but this opens up the door for them to actually start introducing characters in these shows. Because a lot of people felt like that wasn't going to happen, that they weren't going to introduce characters in the shows, that they were always going to save them for movies, because the movies are bigger and more people are going to go see them. But I think this proves otherwise. So we
I
might.
was definitely afraid this was going to be a Mephisto thing, and it wasn't. And I was very happy to find out that it wasn't.
Uh, it was. I, and you don't agree, but I just think that if I had to rank these shows, it would go WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then Loki at the bottom. I think Loki's okay. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier is good. I think WandaVision was great. But I think that Loki is just like the most okay of okay. It's a good okay, actually. It's not super okay, but it's okay.
I heavily disagree with that.
Like I said,
My order is exactly the opposite of yours.
7 to 7.5 out of 10. It is like the first two episodes were kind of slow, but they were somewhat interesting to keep me stringed along, especially the like later half of the second episode. Episode 3 sucked. I hated episode 3. Like
I heavily disagree with that.
I told you before, episode 3 could have been cut in half or not existed, and instead kind of combined episode 3 and 4, and it would have been much better.
Episode 3 was my favorite episode of the entire show.
Soldier, like I said, it could have either been a movie or it could have been an episode or two shorter.
WandaVision, I disagree with that too.
WandaVision was almost perfect the way it was. I
heavy disagree with all of
it. I just don't like the way it ended. I really don't like the way. Well, really is a bit of a stretch. I like the reveals they had with her actually becoming the Scarlet Witch and Agatha and all that. But I just think specifically, just it became like the action I didn't enjoy. I said that before, as well as it became too much like MCU movie compared to the rest of the series, which kind of threw me off at the end. But otherwise, I think so far, WandaVision is my favorite one because it committed and did what it needed to do. Whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier was a bit spotty because of COVID, which, that's unfortunate. I feel like it could have been better if it wasn't because of COVID, and it might have been my favorite otherwise. But unfortunately, COVID did affect it, and because of that, it affected my score. Loki overall, I just think they could have just done a much better job in terms of just exploring Loki as a character. I don't think they explored him enough. I know that sounds weird. This show is about Loki. He's the main character. There's different versions of Loki, but I feel like there's going to be a second season. But I feel like because there's going to be a second season, they left so much on the drawing board that they could have added to this first season. Honestly,
I still have to disagree about it.
I almost wish that it didn't get renewed until after the season ended, because then they would have been working on the first season like there was never going to be another season. And I would have preferred that because I feel like it would have been much better if that was the case. That's really all I have to say about Loki, because outside of spoilers, I don't think there's even much to talk about other than the potential that Kang has. Because Kang has a potential to be really, really cool. And with the fact that there are going to be different variants of Kang, there are different characters that could be brought in, like Iron Lad.
I'm just really I really like how Kang was portrayed in this one episode because he was
my favorite thing about this series is Kang.
He was like a tired, crazy, mad scientist, and I loved it.
He's low key, and I know you haven't watched much of it, but he low key is Rick from Rick and Morty. Like Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I can see that.
There are a bunch of different versions of Rick, and there's literally an entire citadel of Ricks.
Yeah, the Council of Ricks. So
different dimensions that I feel like they could do something similar to that with Kang, which is pretty funny.
They could definitely do a Council of Wells or whatever from The Flash with Kang. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Like we talked about, I'm excited to see how he'll portray Kang. I feel like the Kang will be more cold and calculating and robotic, and he will likely be blue. And
I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be.
Yeah, and have that purple and green on. I'm excited to see what he looks like and how Jonathan Majors portrays him. But also, I realized another thing, and this is also another thing that you like that I don't like. Loki reminds me of Control, and that's a part of the reason why
I love it so much. It reminds me of Control and the SCP Foundation.
Yes, exactly, and that's why it's boring.
No, it's not boring. That makes it so much more. That makes it so much better, and I love it so much.
For you,
that makes it so much better. Oh my god, I love it so much.
Yeah,
I need Control to get its sequel, and I need that sequel to hurry up because, oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, I think Control would be better off as a movie than a video game. I feel like it doesn't work as a video game. Or
I heavily disagree with that. I don't know what's up with you and these like really terrible takes today, bro. You need some
Control
sleep, man.
not good.
You need some sleep.
I've
Like,
had that
oh my
take since
God.
I first played Control at some point at the beginning of quarantine when it was like 60% off. And I was like, finally, I can play this game that people have been raving about. It's won awards, and then it was trash.
Nah, you need to
I might give it
you
another
need some
chance.
sleep.
But yeah, I was about to start talking about something else, but actually I'm gonna type it in my notes so I don't forget. It's about video games. But if you don't have anything else to say about Loki, we can jump into Black Widow.
I don't think I do. I might later, but I don't think so right now.
Yeah, but Black Widow, I enjoyed the movie. You said you would give it a 7. I would probably give it a little bit higher, maybe a 7.5 or an 8. Um, but yeah, it was a good movie. I feel like there were definitely some missteps in this movie, and I think a part of that has to do with the time it came out. I feel like if this movie came out at the time it was supposed to, the production would have been different and better because of it. You get what I mean? And also, it would have just made more sense because that's the time frame it takes place in.
Mm, I know we had this conversation like leaving the theater, but every time someone brings up Black Widow, I just think a little bit more about it. Literally setting it in 2014 and having Bucky taking the place of Taskmaster,
Oh,
I really feel like that would have solved so many issues. That would have solved almost every issue. It wouldn't have solved the slow motion or the terrible like
here's the thing though.
fight scene.
I actually do agree with you because I feel like this Black Widow should have had a trilogy of movies, and this should have been the last one, and it could have still had Taskmaster in it, while the first movie had Winter Soldier in it, and they could have had Taskmaster be more like the Taskmaster that you know and love, the Tony version. Even though this version's name is technically also Tony, but it's Antonia. But yeah, I feel like I actually agree with you on that. I feel like this movie, she should have had a trilogy of movies at this point, and this should have been the last one. And the first one could have taken place before the Winter Soldier at that point, where she said that she had got shot by him or something like that at one point.
I don't even think it needed to have taken place. That I mean, it could have, and I had thought about that, and I was like, her knowing him more than what she told Steve. I'm like, that could have been another Nat's great lies, and oh yada yada. But at the same time, just hear me out on this one, okay? Just hear me out on this one. So after Winter Soldier, Bucky is feeling lost. He's feeling like, oh, he doesn't really have any direction in his life. He doesn't know where to go, right?
I like where this is going.
Bro, just listen, right? Just listen, right? Because everyone I told this, you love this. I think you'll like it if you just, all right, just keep an open mind. So he goes to his contacts in the Red Room because he needs more information about the person that he was, not like his whole reprogramming thing. But obviously, the Red Room is evil, so of course they're like, oh, we're gonna help you, but they reprogram him. From that point forward, he takes the place of Taskmaster in the movie, and when Nat sees Bucky and sees that he's like this whole like robotic thing all over again, still trying to kill her as she's trying to get all of these like Red Room like deprogramming whatever, which I'm also really not a fan of that. That felt very like, I'll get more into that in a minute. As she's trying to like get all this stuff and he's trying to stop her, and then like work in some kind of like, oh, she like partially deprograms him or tries to deprogram him. There's a small romantic subplot, whatever, yada yada yada. Nothing pans out, of course, because I mean it's Black Widow and Winter Soldier, and that's like always their tragic relationship. But then that way in Winter Soldier, in Civil War, when she's like, at least pretend like you remember me, at least try to remember me, whatever she says in Civil War, that line then calls back to the Black Widow movie, because that line kind of literally came out of nowhere, and I really was hoping they would at least mention it in this movie, but they didn't at all. So that still leaves a giant plot hole in that. But like,
I
would have fixed it.
I do like what you're saying. I just think that the Red Room doesn't need to be involved in that story. I
don't think it needs to be involved. I'm just trying to fit it into this specific Black Widow movie, because that's the route they went down with this. I also don't understand why the Red Room was still a thing, or why it was like that when it literally could have just been like a part of the Russian government.
Yeah, I like what they did with the Red Room. But before we get into that, it earned 210 million before Sunday, like after it released. Domestically, in the US, it earned 80 million in the box office, 78 million international in the box office, and 60 million on Disney Plus Premier Access. So, it did pretty good. Again, the reason why we need another one. And I hope they don't drag their feet and they actually make a sequel with Yelena as Black Widow. My biggest problem with this movie was the editing and the photography.
I hated the editing so much.
It was filmed like a Jason Bourne movie. I mean that in the worst way possible. It was so.
I like Jason Bourne movies.
It was so choppy. That's why I said I mean it in the worst way possible. The worst part of those movies.
No, I'm saying like what I mean by that is like the editing for Jason Bourne movies works for Jason Bourne movies. It doesn't work for a Black Widow movie.
Yeah, like it was it cut a lot and it was kind of really blurry and the camera kept shaking, and I was just like, please just let me see what's happening. I like to see what's happening. Hold the camera still.
Like Yelena would throw a punch and that would end up on the floor, or Yelena would like move and that would end up on the floor, and I'm like, what hit?
And the action, you could tell the action was good too. You just couldn't. They just wouldn't let you see it. Like it hurt because you could tell it was good, and you're like, man, I just wish they would hold the camera still. Right. It was for me. It was a very it was a heart-touching movie. The whole family dynamic of the movie, essentially them being assassins, pretty much their entire lives, and having these, was it like 3 years of them just being able to be a regular family, even if they were.
Yeah, I think you said it was 3 years.
Yeah, even though they were acting, they kind of, all of them really felt like an actual family. And even years after they broke up, it was like, I think it said like 15 years or something like that in the time skip. 15 years later, they all still felt that familial connection. And I thought that was really cool. Let's talk about Taskmaster. Actually, no, let's talk about the Red Room first. The Red Room in the opposite end was heart-wrenching. You say you don't like it. I like I like the idea that it was this old man just trying to control a bunch of little girls, essentially. I don't like the mind control thing made sense. He literally just made a bunch of, some of them sleeper agents, all of the ones actually within the Red Room were live at the time, and he has complete and total control over them and can tell them what to do.
Have you ever seen the movie Salt with Angelina Jolie?
Salt?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, one, watch the movie, it's really good.
Your voice is really low.
I said one, watch the movie, it's really good. Two, I feel like that is what the Red Room should have been, and not to, I mean, it's gonna be a small spoiler, but not really a spoiler, but like still, even if I tell you this, watch Salt. It is amazing. Watch it, like absolutely watch it. It needed a sequel though, because that cliffhanger was like, no, it needs a sequel. But watch Salt. Anyway, in Salt, they are sleeper agents. They are, and it's actually really funny. It's about Russia like infiltrating the United States, and also it's really funny that is, I feel like Black Widow should have been Salt. But they're not mind controlled. They're just, it's their entire life of like propaganda and dogma from like the Russian government and like all that sort of stuff, that they didn't need any type of mind control. And I felt like in Age of Ultron, where we see them, or in Age of Ultron, like the little flashback, the mini flashback we get from Nat about the Red Room, I didn't feel like that was mind control. Well, I mean, like it was implied that they did mind control after she left, but like,
they didn't do mind control when she was there, though.
Yeah, no, that was implied that they didn't do it when she was there. But I feel like that it would have been so much better if they just didn't have mind control. If it was just like they're that devoted to the idea of, or like the idea of Russia and all that stuff, and like of serving their country, and they're that devoted to those really like nationalistic ideas that are ideals that they don't need any type of mind control. They just kind of did it the way that they did it with Nat, and when Nat was there. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of the mind control thing, but the movie was kind of centered around the MacGuffin of the whole like break mind control gas thingy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, but I also feel like that everything about this movie just needed more time. I felt like I said, this should have been several movies, a several movie long plot line. Like this needed to be stretched out and actually delved into um, far more. Um, you and a lot of people aren't a fan of the Taskmaster they had in this. I really liked it. Felt like the Terminator. You said that's how Bucky should have felt.
Because that's how Bucky was. I don't understand why they didn't just do that. Because it's
Yeah,
exactly what Bucky.
but yeah, I really liked it, and the reveal caught me off guard, even though it was kind of obvious because I wasn't really looking for it. And but I do feel like they should have had a lot more Taskmaster, and it would have been way cooler. I feel like I would have noticed it at that point if they had more Taskmaster. But she's still alive, and most likely will be coming back. And you feel like it would be cool if they, use this as a way to bring in Tony Masters. And I say this, I said it before, when we left the theater and when we were texting about how she can literally just become, like in terms of personality, since she's literally a blank slate, like Tony Masters, but, a woman. But also, what if we have a bit of I wouldn't be surprised if they made a Taskmaster series. What if we get a flashback where one of the people who helped train her was actually Tony Masters, and that like she at some point had to kill him, and because of that she eventually takes up his last name and his personality essentially.
See, now I would like that if he didn't get killed, and then that would just make me want actual Taskmaster. That would just make me want more Tony Masters, and that would make me that would make me dislike Tony even more.
I mean, there's no reason to dislike her. It's not her fault. But
it's not her fault. It's the writer's fault. But
no, I think she definitely has a lot of potential. Like people are like, oh man, they ruined the character. I'm like, the character's barely, like the character still has potential to grow. You can't say a character has been ruined when you haven't got enough of the character to, justify that statement. Like the character still, this character still has plenty of room to grow. Let's wait a little bit before we say the character's been ruined. Let's give the character some more time. I really want Taskmaster to show up in Hawkeye. That would be really cool. I feel like I have a feeling they might stick with the same version of Taskmaster rather than bringing in Tony Masters. One, because they essentially named her Tony by naming her Antonia, and also the actress is also a bit of a famous action actress. So I feel like they're going to want to stick with her as this character. So yeah, I feel like this character could grow to become really cool. I'm also, to wrap this up, really excited to see Yelena become Black Widow in the future of the, MCU. She's 100, I won't say 100%, but 100% going to be in Hawkeye. Going after.
Yeah, no, she's going to be in Hawkeye. They wouldn't have set up that post-credit scene that way without it.
Because they didn't film any additional scenes for this movie. I can't remember her name, but that lady was supposed to first show up in this movie before she showed up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I can't remember her name. I just know she's Elaine from Seinfeld. Yeah. So
Madam Hydra, I'm just gonna call her Madam Hydra because that's what she's supposed to be.
Yeah. So if that's all you got, we can move on to video games. So first things first, I just wanted to mention how we were talking about I was watching this video about Dishonored, and it was Game Maker's Toolkit, and he had a video about, you should watch it actually, I'll send it to you. It's about he talked to some of the developers, and they were talking about he was talking to the level designers, and they were talking about how they designed the Clockwork Mansion. You would really love that episode. I'm about to send it to you right now.
I was gonna say, I've been watching a lot of Game Maker's Toolkit because I'm making my video game with my friend, and that could be helpful. That could be really helpful.
Yeah, and it reminded me that there's a DLC for Dishonored called Death of the Outsider that I haven't played yet, and I'm craving some more Dishonored. So it's on Game Pass, which is dope. So I'm gonna resubscribe to Game Pass, play what's that game called, Hades, and a couple other games, and finish the first Dishonored. But yeah,
you never finished the first Dishonored?
No.
Honestly, I prefer the ending of the first Dishonored, or like how they present the ending of the first Dishonored than I do the second Dishonored. But like the second Dishonored, while it is better, there's so much about the first Dishonored. Oh my god, You'll love Dishonored 1. Like, you've played Dishonored 1. I'm not gonna give him played Dishonored 1. You just gotta finish Dishonored 1 then. It's great.
But yeah. So next I want to talk about Souls games and difficulty. So Tamir Hussein, editor at GameSpot, essentially started this thread on Twitter about accessibility in video games, specifically from soft games, which are known to be difficult, and talk about how there's no reason.
These are the exaggerated swagger guys, right?
I think it was, yeah, GameSpot.
Okay.
It might have been Game Informer actually, that did the exaggerated swagger.
No, it was Game Informer. It was Game Informer. You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, and he had this long thread, and of course, people who play from soft games always get so defensive because the thing is, when it comes to the idea of accessibility in these games, a lot of people feel like adding accessibility options will take away their hard mode. And I think they don't understand what the word add means.
Right.
To add means to add on to what already exists. Nothing is being taken away. People who like to play really difficult games feel like the idea of there being an easy mode makes their struggle less, when it doesn't. You still played this game on hard. You still have that achievement. You still worked hard to get good at that game. But not everybody, some people literally just can't play games as good as other people. So
Right.
so having an easier difficulty is just a way for more people to be able to play this game. And I don't know if people know this, but developers want as many people to play their game as possible so that they can make money and make more games. And having an easier option will not, jeopardize their creative integrity at all. In fact, it'll strengthen it, because people will understand that they are about the players and they are about making this game accessible to literally every single person who's interested in these games. Because for me, it 100% is the difficulty that's my barrier of entry, because I hear how hard it is and I'm like, I don't think I have time to try and get good at this game.
It is very hard.
I have other things to do. Like, I already haven't been playing video games as much as I used to because I've been really busy lately. Like, I don't know if I'll have enough time to try and get really good at these Souls games. But like, there's no harm, in making them easier, as well as games are becoming accessible to people with disabilities as well. And that's another thing that these type of games need, because they're already hard as hell for people without disabilities. Imagine how hard they are for people with disabilities,
Right.
But like, what was I forgot I was gonna say. Oh, another thing that people were mentioning about how the world of these games are really interesting, and I'm intrigued by these worlds that these games build. And a lot of people want to try and get into that world and the story. Some people want to play Souls games for the lore and not necessarily the gameplay. But what keeps them away from getting that lore? The gameplay. The gameplay is the barrier of entry for literally anybody who wants to play that game that aren't into super hard games. People are allowed to play games on easy. People treat that as a bad thing. It is okay to play a game on easy. Different people.
I agree with that.
Different people.
I gotta agree with that heavy, because the whole reason I wanted to play Bloodborne was, I love Lovecraftian horror and Lovecraftian themes, and that's like all Bloodborne is about. But why I stayed away from Bloodborne for so long was because I was like, this game is notoriously difficult. A lot of people say it's more difficult than Dark Souls, and as someone that's played, I think the first 2 Dark Souls games and has played Bloodborne, like a lot of Bloodborne is more difficult than Dark Souls. I can see why people don't want to get into Souls-like games, because they are incredibly difficult.
Yeah. There's rumors about like a remastered Bloodborne, or people at least want a remastered Bloodborne for PS5.
I'd pay so much money for that.
Yeah, if they did that, I would hope they add, easier mode for people who want to play it again, like me. I do want to play Bloodborne. It does look really cool, but it looks a little hard, and like you just said, it's harder than Bloodborne, so that's a bit of a barrier. So Sony had a state of play. I don't remember when it was. At this point, it was a while ago. They showed they actually delayed Sifu, which is a game
I'm sorry, they what?
They delayed Seafood to 2022. It's a game.
No.
It was a game that I didn't really care about at first, but the more I saw of it, the more I really wanted to play it. It was delayed.
Can they not? Can they like
They keep
take out that delay? Like, is that a possibility?
Another thing is, I hate when developers do this. Like, bruh, give us gameplay if you know the game is like is coming out soon. Like at this point, if you're gonna delay it this long, give us like a 10-minute gameplay video. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
give us a 10-minute gameplay video so that we can actually see what this game is about. It's getting delayed so much. Like God of War got delayed. Give us a trailer. If it's coming out next year, you have more than enough stuff done to give us a trailer. At least I think so. I could be wrong in saying these things, but I feel like
you're definitely right. Like they should have enough.
I feel like when games are coming out so soon and they get delayed, like if the game was coming out tomorrow and then it got delayed like a couple months, I feel like at that point you have enough stuff to show us a bit more. You know, it's like why I was worried about Miles Morales, because they took so long to show us more, even though the game was so close to coming out. Thankfully, the game is great. Yeah, they also showed Death Stranding's director's cut, which apparently there are way more guns in the base game than I thought. But essentially, they're making it essentially more and more like Metal Gear. The more they add to that game, it makes me a little bit more interested in it, but not too interested. And you know, last but not least, they essentially just showed a whole bunch of gameplay for Deathloop.
You wait, hold on. You reminded me of something real quick, and I'm gonna forget. And I don't know if you know anything about this, but because Hideo Kojima is possibly involved, maybe not, maybe so, you might know about it. That new horror game.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was telling you to go ahead.
I was like, okay, so basically, if you guys don't know, there's been I don't remember if it was at a State of Play or at EA or something, but there was this horror game that was announced that got a lot of people's attention, not because the horror game looked great or anything like that, but because it felt very PT-ish, not in the gameplay specifically, but in the behind the scenes, because nobody knows who really made this game. The development studio that claims to have made the game, if you go down a rabbit hole, and if this is just Hideo Kojima messing with everyone, he did a very good job in covering his tracks. Let me just say, he did a very good job, because there's a track record of, they've worked with, I think, one studio, and I don't remember what games the studio has made. I think they made like The Last of Us 2 or something, or they were like working on The Last of Us 2 or something like that, but they worked with one of the studios working on The Last of Us 2, and like no other studio, and they're credited for that. And then they're credited for they're credited as making like 2 other games, one of which never came out, even though it was promised to come out, and they claimed to have sold it to another company. And then another game of which literally it's so unpolished and incomplete that the player character still moves around in a T-pose position, like no legs moving, no anything like that.
So apparently Junji Ito is tied to it. The horror manga artist.
I hadn't even heard that. That makes me even more excited for this, because I love Junji Ito. Oh my god. Wow. Okay. But people have been like, oh, this has got to be Hideo Kojima. This feels so Hideo Kojima, yada, yada, yada. And there's like, if you like translate a bunch of stuff on their website, it mentions something about like Silent Hills, or like the guy was like, oh, this isn't actually the name of the game. The name of the game starts with an S and ends with an S, or something like that, yada, yada, yada. And if you don't know, PT was originally supposed to be a playable trailer for Silent Hills. But then like the guy who claims to have made it went on Instagram Live. He's like, oh yeah, I just want to ruin it all. I'm not Hideo Kojima, yada, yada, yada. No, this has got to be a Hideo Kojima thing. I'm almost positive this is a Hideo Kojima thing. This is either a Hideo Kojima thing,
He definitely has been wanting to make a horror game for a long time, because one of the first things his studio worked on was that playable teaser, which eventually, like, he essentially wants to make everything that Konami won't make.
Yeah. And if this is actually like what PT has turned into, especially with Junji Ito involved. And if you don't know Junji Ito, he's a Lovecraftian horror manga artist, basically. And I'm so excited about this game. Like,
yeah,
wow. Like, I'm so excited about this game, because either this game is going to be the best horror game of all time, of course, until I step onto the horror scene, or it's going to be the worst thing ever, and everyone's just looking into this too bad or too deep. Like this is either going to be the best thing in the world and literally the worst game ever created. So I really hope it's good though, because I'm very, very, very excited every time I hear some type of like new thing like decoded about like oh my god, I'm so excited for this game.
Yeah, that sounds.
It's when you said Metal Gear Solid that reminded me. I was like, oh crap, I got to talk to Deshaun about this because he probably knows about this, and this would be a really fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, that definitely sounds really interesting. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid, since we got a decent amount of time left in this podcast and only a few things left on my notes to talk about, so I could just go on this quick tangent. I was thinking not too long ago, I think like yesterday, about why Metal Gear Solid 5, like most people don't finish the game. Well, one, a lot of people say as a joke, like it's okay that you didn't finish the game because neither did Kojima. Kojima didn't finish the game. But also, I feel like, I don't know if it was because he didn't finish the game, but he's not perfect and he makes some mistakes. And I feel like he definitely made some with this game. Like as much as like the way Konami went about, splitting ways with Kojima was horrible, but the reason why I could understand, because he did spend a lot of money on this game just to never finish it. So,
Right.
that makes sense. But like, why I feel like what hurts Metal Gear Solid 5 is the fact that it's pretty much open world. And here's the thing. I essentially asked a bunch of questions to myself, like, and it happened while I was watching the Game Maker's Toolkit video. The one that I watched 1,000 times about Breath of the Wild and how it's a true adventure game. I've talked to you about it before on this podcast. But a question that Mark Brown on there asked was like, what is the reason for having an open world? You have to ask that question when you give a game an open world. Why did you give it an open world? And I asked myself, so what is the reason for Metal Gear Solid 5 having an open world? And what it came down to was for there to be vehicles and animals to ride like a horse. And
literally barely used the vehicle the entire. I used like my horse like twice.
That's what I'm getting at. The only good thing, the only like thing that the open world is ever really like that usually, I'm stuttering. The only thing that utilizes the open world in that game are the vehicles. And you barely use them. You ride the horse a lot, which sucks because you literally are just riding between just barren wasteland where there's absolutely nothing there except the odd outpost. Otherwise, it's empty. Why? So what was the point of the open world? I ask you. If there's literally
I got the game.
If there's literally nothing in the open world, then why is it there? I think
I got the game recently.
I think that's what hurts it a lot.
In my opinion, it's a lot more than just that.
Oh, no, definitely. But for me, I think that's one of the biggest things that hurts it is because the open world is completely unnecessary. There is absolutely no reason for there to have been an open world in that game.
Yeah, the open world is completely empty.
In terms of actual, because I say it all the time, like Dishonored rivals it 100%, but I separate Dishonored because it's first person. And instead replace it with Last of Us Part 2 in terms of third person stealth gameplay. I think Metal Gear Solid 5 is the pinnacle of all of the Metal Gear games in terms of stealth gameplay. The thing is, you're in this big open space and then you come to these very small pockets of areas where there are, like buildings, very small buildings. Instead of something like the king of level design, Dishonored, where they give you a kind of open world, but not really. They give you just enough space to where you could figure out so many different ways to tackle a situation, but it's also small enough to where you don't feel like you're going through stretches of just barren wasteland for no reason, like Metal Gear does. And I feel like that's where both The Last of Us and Dishonored, in terms of level design, completely outclasses Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5 doesn't come close to the level design of Dishonored or Last of Us Part 2. The level design in those two games are superb. And
what I really love about Dishonored. Oh wait, go ahead, man.
No, I was just gonna say that I feel like that's just one of the biggest problems with Metal Gear Solid 5 is the level design. It sucks.
Yeah, no, level design. Honestly, I feel like traversal and gunplay in that game are both really clunky. I don't have a lot of fun in that game.
Metal Gear definitely isn't made for the gunplay.
It's not, but like where I feel
It could
the
be
problem
better,
is that it could be way better. But I feel like one of the problems with Metal Gear Solid 5, especially which ties into the open world, is the fact that because it's open world and because there's so much larger space as opposed to like actual level design and places to hide, there's no real places to hide except for behind a box or behind a building. And like a lot of the enemy positions mean that you're gonna get discovered. So it's gonna turn into a gunfight unless you're like
exactly
literally Solid Snake like in real life. And like that's not so like if you're gonna have a game where like there's more opportunity to get caught than not, then the gunplay needs to be up there. But the gunplay in that game is also really bad. So
for me, I
the
feel
question becomes, why am I playing the game?
In stealth games, when it comes to adding more space, you should either go more depth in the sense that there are more buildings you can go inside of, or verticality. Make things higher.
I was just about to say verticality.
So that you can climb above people. It's either you go above people or you can go inside of things that nobody else will be able to see you within, or there are people inside and you have to sneak around. I feel like that's how you create more space in a stealth game rather than just going wide and open. Because then what's the point of it being a stealth game if you're in an open field and someone's across the open field and you have to like get low and try and crawl through the desert and try to hide in a bush? It's like, bro, that's boring.
Right.
And like I agree, because the less, again, even if you're not into the game, just for the sake of the I don't know, we both got vaccinated. You got to come over here at some point, or got to go over to your house. You got to play just one level of The Last of Us and just experience the game. Okay. Because the gunplay in The Last of Us is good. It's really good. You could go through that game just shooting people if you really want to.
I think I might, if I ever get that game. I think that's exactly
there's this, I have to see some videos. There's this channel that just does, because you could go to each individual like encounter in the menu after you go past a certain chapter. In the menu, you could just replay that specific encounter of enemies. And people will do that and try and perfect it and essentially do it as fast and as efficiently as they can. And when you watch those videos and see what the range of what you can do is, it is amazing. And Metal Gear has the potential to do stuff like that. But yeah, moving on to the next thing. Went on a quick tangent about Metal Gear. That's definitely going to be one of the clips I pull out for next week, the week after next. So the Valve 2 portable systems, actually. We're going to talk about the Valve Steam Deck and
the Steam. Yo, I want that so bad.
Essentially, I think I'm going to start the Switch, and then we're going to get into the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck pretty much is the Switch Pro that people were looking for, while the Switch OLED model is just a slightly better Switch. But I'm still going to get it because I don't have a Switch at all, and why not get the version with the bigger screen and the LAN port? But like the Switch OLED, it releases October 8th, 2021. I actually just came into a little bit of money, so I'm about to pre-order that. But like it goes up to 1080p in docked, which I think before it only went up to 720p. You could tell me better because you actually have one. But and
I haven't plugged it up to my TV yet, and I've had it for about like 3 months, and I still haven't plugged it up to my TV, so I'm not the person to ask.
Yeah, so it also on screen is still up to 720p, but I think that even on the phone, you could tell the difference between 1080p and 720p. But anything above 1080p, you cannot tell the difference on like a small screen. You know what I mean? So I think that at max, eventually, the screen should be 1080p whenever they make a new console, and then when it's docked, it should eventually, if they can, go up to 4K. But of course, I understand why they don't do it, because it would jack up the cost. That's pretty much it. And also the range of the little thing to hold it up on the back is bigger, because before it was really small and it broke because it was really small and weak. And it comes out the same day as Metroid Dread. Here's another thing about it though. I feel like it also gives me a reason to work out more. And you're probably wondering, what? Ring Fit Adventure, okay? Like I talked about it before. I talked about it before, but when I was using my little brother's Oculus Quest, I realized I essentially was just exercising more. because I was just playing games on the Quest, and it involves a lot of physical movement. And exercise for me is either fun when I'm doing it with more people, or there's a game related to it. And this would just allow me to work out more because I would want to, because it would be a game associated with it. So yeah, that would be cool as well. I think Ring Fit costs like $80 by itself, but it would be worth it if I could lose some weight. But yeah, it comes the same day as Metroid Dread. And of course, I'm gonna want to play Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Smash Bros. Those are really the 4 games that I want the most. The second Breath of the Wild hasn't come out yet. Oh, also the second best Zelda game after Breath of the Wild, better than I forget which one you like, Link to the Past.
It's not better than Link to the Past. I'm sorry, no games.
Awakening, the remake, the Link's Awakening remake. I want that too. It's better than Link's Awakening. If they made it's better than Link to the Past. If they made
it's not better than Link to the Past. I'm sorry, man.
I really hope they make a Link to the Past remake like how they did Link's Awakening. You would probably love it, of course, because it's your favorite.
Oh my god, I would love that.
Because essentially, because the original Link's Awakening was on Game Boy, and it didn't look anything like it doesn't even look as good as a Link to the Past because it's on a Game Boy. So they really had to give it a complete and total graphical overhaul, and I really love the way it looks. But yeah, if they gave it that type of upgrade for a Link to the Past, maybe, just maybe, it could beat out Link's Awakening, but I doubt it.
No, there's no maybe. There's no maybe.
No, I doubt
already beats out Link's Awakening, so I don't know, you know?
I don't know what you're talking about. But the Valve Steam Deck, which is essentially a portable PC, small Switch-like.
Oh, that's so bad.
I feel like they should have made it to where it had like a detachable controllers. I feel like every portable console needs that now. Otherwise, you're gonna want to carry another controller, which I was like, bro, but what if you could have the controllers with you already? I feel like every portable console should have detachable controllers. But this one, they claim, is just straight up a portable PC. The base model is $399 for 64 gigabytes of storage. The second model is $529 for faster storage and 256 gigabytes of storage. And the most expensive is $649 with the fastest storage possible for them, and 512 gigabytes of storage. Yeah.
I'm still getting a PC.
Apparently pre-orders sold out. People are really excited to get this thing, despite having literally just heard about it. People are already on it. I'm definitely gonna wait for some reviews, but you can play Xbox games on it because you could use the Microsoft Store and Game Pass.
I am still getting my PC, of course, but I'm aiming for this. I'm aiming for the Steam Deck because it's like that is actually really cool, and I don't know what took them so long, but this is actually like it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I wonder if Sony will ever bring back the PSP. There have been several concept designs from just random artists online of like what a PSP could look like, and it always looks so cool. And I'm like, yes, please do this. It would be cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm just thinking of ways the Steam Deck could have been better, like detachable controllers, because I feel like every portable console needs that. As well as what if they made a dock? Because a laptop, literally portable computer. What if you had like a dock, right? That you could connect to it that boost its horsepower. That you can carry with you. So you stand it up on the table or something inside of the dock, and that additional piece of tech would boost its horsepower, and can also hold additional storage, additional games on it, because storage. I feel like that could be really cool.
I think that could be cool.
I wouldn't be surprised if because this you could use, essentially they're treating it like a PC. You could use third-party bases with it. It's supposed to come with a base, but they haven't officially announced the actual official base for it yet. But there are third-party docks that you can get for it, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a dock that could boost its performance. Yeah,
I want the Steam Deck so bad.
Yeah, I can see why people are interested in it. I'm not as much because again, I already have an Xbox and a PlayStation, and I'm not really going. I dare like none of the games I play on Xbox or PlayStation. Am I like, you know what? I want to play this game on the road. Like none of
Like
them.
it's not just that, it's like PC only games. Like I want like, oh my god, bro, there's so many good games that are PC only. Like
Yeah, the Switch is gonna be a good way for me to play a bunch of games that I would never play before. Like maybe I'll play Ori, maybe I'll play Cuphead, maybe I'll eventually be playing Hades on Xbox, but I'll probably play it on Switch. What's another game?
I might actually play Hades on Switch because I'm not
Shovel
the biggest
Knight.
fan of Hades, but
I'll probably play Shovel Knight. I'll probably play what's that game called? Dang, I can't remember. Hollow Knight. There it is. I might play Hollow Knight. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play Metroid. I want to play the game so bad. But yeah, that's all I got.
that's all you got.
Yeah, as usual, I'm Dijon right here with my beautiful face, beard shaped up, hair shaped up. Got a little temp. I'm looking good. You got a mirror, but you can't see his face. So you can't tell if he
You also can't see my profile picture right now, which I don't know why, but just imagine Huey from Boondocks if you can't remember.
I'm gonna replace it with that drawing that Eric did.
Oh yeah, no, that's literally my Instagram profile picture. So yeah, that works.
Yeah. So don't forget to like, comment. Well, I forgot our ads. Our ads are below us as usual, along with the Mustardcast ad. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see us. I am messing up. I'm gonna cut all of that out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
Peace.